Ladies and gentlemen, one starts to think about the global success of organizations like IKEA, the flat pack organization that enables you to enhance your living in your homes. We can start to go through this definition. Brand is a cluster of functional. We start to think about IKEA. First and foremost, it really is the way that we're enabling you aesthetically to do something. The functionality is a nice simple form of functionality. And emotional values. Well, emotional values here very much, my self-expression through the way that I've augmented my flat, my home. I'm now making a statement about myself. Maybe I'm trendy. I don't know. Functional and emotional values. Enabling there we see IKEA to make a promise. A promise may be concerned with trying to add. We promise that we're going to try to add to the pleasure of life for you. And we see that as a very basic basis for brand that has then allowed that organization to develop the brand to become a global player, clearly aware of the local environment that they're operating within, but taking this big unifying idea and then saying, let's now start to think about enacting that unifying idea so that we can fine-tune it by area. So we have a basis for brand. We always keep on looking at brands, therefore, in terms of, so what's the brand promise? And then more to the point, how did it come about in terms of the functional and emotional values? So we can then start to take some markets. We start to take the airline market. What do you think? What do you think might be the brand promise of organizations like, for argument's sake, Ryanair or Virgin or Thai International or Lufthansa? Anybody want to take one of these brands and just say what you perceive the promise as being? What's Virgin promising with its brand?
I'm not sure of the official tagline, but I think Virgin, by nature of its very name and the approach that Richard Branson has had to just about every market he's looked to enter, he's really talking about taking on the big boys at their game and doing it better and in a way that really pleases the customer in a more fulfilling way.
So maybe the Virgin promise. Yes, the Virgin promise. Very simple. We promise to be David taking on Goliath, the small one. Time and time again against the big one. But what's the big benefit you get? If you fly on a Virgin aircraft rather than flying on another operator's aircraft. What sort of core benefit they're trying to push themselves?
I think you'll find, just taking what I've said, I think you'll find that they will look at every aspect of the user experience and think, how can we do it better? Let's look at what the other big boys are doing and go one step better. So the customer then is reassured that the experience he's going to get from Virgin will be a better one.
Lovely, lovely. Always looking ahead, always taking one step ahead.
So the beds are bigger, they're probably more comfortable. Yeah. You get metal, stainless steel cutlery instead of plastic, or whatever the deal is. They'll look to improve it.
Yeah. We promise to be David taking on the Goliath in all the different markets. I'd summarise it. Yeah, I agree with you totally. But also what I've sort of picked up a little bit is the fun part of it. We promise almost a little bit more of a fun experience. Clearly you're not going to get comedians, but there is that. By contrast, Lufthansa. What might Lufthansa's promise be? By contrast, we promise punctuality.
Manic efficiency.
We promise efficiency. We promise functionality. We promise punctuality. We promise efficiency coming through. And by contrast, Thai International maybe. We promise serenity. By contrast, if one uses metaphors, again, Thai might be silk, the other airlines might be steel. One's much more emotional, humanistic, others maybe a bit more functional in terms of what's going on.
It's very interesting how those two play to their international qualities, the kind of German efficiency versus the kind of serenity of a country that's conscious of Feng Shui.
And again, we go back therefore to culture, because company culture and country culture interact and support each other if one uses it in a way. You were stereotyping countries earlier on, and you were then drawing the inference from it. And we see some markets. You know, which markets do brands deliberately play upon country culture? Forget the airline market now. Which other markets come to mind where country culture?
Automotive and white goods.
Automotive, white goods. Give us some examples. Fantastic. Lovely.
Well, you mentioned them earlier. People like BMW, Audi, and so on in the automotive sector, and people like Miele, AEG in the white goods sector.
There we start to see it. The perfume sector, you know, same sort of thing coming through again. The clothing sector. IT. In the IT domain, you know, is country culture used? Make some form of differentiation?
So like the I'm a Mac or I'm a PC.
I'm a Mac versus I'm a PC, yeah. I've seen some analysis a few years ago very much upon IBM being East Coast side of the States, more formal, more structured. Apple, you know, being more West Coast of the States, warm, slightly different, relaxed approach to what's going on.
I love the way it comes through in drinks. So you've got like Belgian beers, but I particularly wanted to just make reference to the idea that Boddington's goes one step further and talks about the cream of the north, and therefore creating more of a local translation.
In a world again where brands are, you know, trying to become much more global, it's a basis for differentiation by then playing upon a point of interest. So we've got a basis there for starting to say, gosh, we can now start to understand a bit about what brand is. But why do we brand? Why do organizations, be they service, be they not-for-profit, be they B2B, why do organizations put significant resources behind developing this concept called brand? Why do they do it?
To give something a product or a service an identity.
Because they're able to give an identity, so people can then start to far better understand what's going on, yeah? So it's to give a basis for understanding the belief system that the organization holds. But at the end of the day, why do people spend all this money on branding?
Relationship.
So they build a relationship. In other words, what you're doing is you're reducing your costs ultimately. It's people keep on coming back, they keep on retrying because the relationship may be a favourable relationship. Through that, therefore, you're reducing your marketing costs. And what's happening to your bottom line? You know, what do brands do to your bottom line?
I often think about how brands actually help you realise the asset value of your business. And so investing in the brand, as you say, makes it easier to get a better punch for your pound as you move forward. And so if you are developing or building a business, clearly you want to grow something that's of value, because then people will give you more money for it. And we saw that in the dot-com era, where people were paying ridiculous amounts of money for what was effectively a promise.
Yeah. Also, I think the word greed comes through, but that's another matter. But your point is, you know, you want to, as you put it there, get more power behind any form of currency that you're using to promote.
I think that what brands often do is actually reduce friction in the marketplace. It makes it easier for people to say yes, so that it becomes a no-brainer purchase. And that does, as Mark says, increase the value of the business. I mean, 85% of the value of quoted companies is actually intangible. It is due down to the brand.
Yeah. The days of looking at tangible versus intangibles now is, you know, so important indeed in terms of what's going on. But as you said, what it's doing is it's building the value of the company. It's building the value of the company. So, you know, brands they reduce resistance, to use your term there. To my mind, brands really build confidence between parties. At the end of the day, you can look at buyer behavior in both business to business and business to consumer, and at the end of the day, managers and consumers have got the same problem, and that really is risk. Perceived risk. A brand is a trust mark. People then start to say, I've now got confidence in this, I've got trust in it. And through that trust, there's a lack of resistance, you've now got a much smoother basis for building a relationship.